The air itself seemed to gasp, then hold its breath. A moment ago, it had been thick with desire, with the intoxicating scent of jasmine crushed beneath impatient bodies. Now, only the jasmine remained, a sweet, cloying shroud over a deed done in shadow. Silence. A suffocating silence that pressed down, heavier than any velvet curtain, whispering of secrets and the weight of a stolen kiss. This was not the quiet of peace, you understand, but the quiet that follows a forbidden storm. The first, almost imperceptible note struck in a war not yet declared. On the polished marble, near where a silken slipper had been carelessly kicked aside, lay a handkerchief. Not just any linen, but fine embroidered silk, its delicate fabric now a silent canvas for two conflicting perfumes. 1. The heavy, opulent scent of civet and rose, unmistakable, the mark of a queen, perhaps, or a woman of standing, commanding her place within the established order. The other, lighter, wilder, a blend of night-blooming jasmine and something earthy, untamed, defiant. The scent of a garden, yes, but a garden entered by stealth, where boundaries were not merely crossed but utterly disregarded. It was a testament, mute and damning, to a boundary irrevocably shattered. Do you feel it, this tremor? Not in the foundations of the palace, not yet, but in the very weave of its gilded tapestry, in the ancient stones themselves. A single thread, pulled taut, threatening to unravel generations of dynasty, to expose the fragile nature of power. Nobody was supposed to hear this. Oh, but the stones of these chambers, they have ears. They remember every whisper, every gasp, every sigh surrendered in passion or despair. They hoard the secrets of bloodline and betrayal, and they never, ever forget. One night, a blink in the vast, unforgiving ocean of time. Yet in this sacred, treacherous space, one night of raw, primal indulgence can shatter a dynasty, poison a bloodline with doubt, and unleash a torrent of betrayal. For pleasure in these gilded halls is rarely an end in itself. More often, it is a beginning. A wick lit, a fuse burning, silent but inexorable under the very seat of power. The price of such defiance in this sultan's court is always paid in more than gold. It is paid in silence, in shadows, and ultimately, my friends, in blood. The game of queens has just begun. The aftershocks of a single night of passion, they rarely manifest as thunder. No, my dear, they begin as whispers, as shivers along the gilded corridors, a tremor barely felt yet capable of toppling stone. It is not the grand declaration of war that follows a stolen moment, but the insidious, silent spread of a secret. Look closer. Can you see it? A seal, once pristine, now subtly fractured on a message meant only for the Grand Vizier's eyes. Who saw it first? Who read the forbidden script before it reached its intended hand? A breach, subtle as a breath, yet profound as an earthquake. And then, a minor functionary, robust yesterday, now lies feverish, his mind clouded by a sudden, inexplicable illness. Was it the chill night air that claimed him? Or the kiss of something far more insidious, a silent poison administered with the precision of a court physician? Questions linger in the opulent air, heavy with unasked answers. The changing of the guard, a routine rhythm, yet suddenly a new face watches the sultana's antechamber. A familiar one, absent from the sultan's side. A shift, a subtle, dangerous shift, in the silent choreography of power. The unseen spiderweb of betrayal begins to spin its deadly threads, not with overt acts, but with these tiny, almost imperceptible movements. This is not the roar of armies, but the rustle of silk. The game of queens, you see, begins in silence, their battlefield, the harem, the private chambers, the very air they breathe. Each woman, a queen in waiting or a queen fighting to hold her ground, understands the ruthless dance. Their weapons? Not swords, but the poison of suspicion, the dagger of rumor, the unbreakable chains of a well-placed secret. Paranoia, a silent assassin, crawls through the palace like a lengthening shadow. Every glance, every hurried conversation, every untouched sweet on a silver platter, scrutinized. Information is currency, whispered and bought, traded for favors, for survival. A half-truth, released at precisely the right moment, can shatter a reputation, sever a bloodline, crumble a dynasty's fragile hold. Do you feel the tightening in your chest? The walls here have ears, yes, but more terrifyingly, they have eyes that see into the soul. The pace quickens in the shadows, a desperate ballet of intrigue. Alliances, forged on shared fear, shatter over a single, misheard word. Yet, beneath this frantic dance, a heavy, drawn-out suspense hangs in the air, thick as the Sultan's own opium smoke. It is the silence before the storm, the heartbeat of impending discovery. The knowledge of that night, once confined to two desperate souls, now trickles through the unseen spiderweb of betrayal. And soon, very soon, silence will break, and the war will begin. The air within the Topkapi, even in the private apartments, never truly settled. It hummed with the silent thrum of ambition, a melody played on silken strings and sharpened daggers. Look closely, past the shimmer of the gilded ceilings, beyond the endless cascade of brocade, and the gleam of jewels that adorned every high-born neck. Do you see it? The tremor beneath the surface, the barely perceptible ripple in the Sultan's carefully cultivated calm. He, Sultan Murad, walked a labyrinth of his own making. One night of passion, yes, a moment of potent, intoxicating forgetfulness, now etched in the very stones of this palace, demanding a lifetime of brutal reckoning. His duty, an iron crown pressing heavy upon his brow, warred constantly with a desire that had birthed a child, a son, who was both a blessing and a curse. A son whose very existence cast a long, venomous shadow across the established bloodline. And within that shadow, the true war was waged. Not with the clash of steel on distant battlefields, but here in the perfumed chambers, across polished marble floors. Here the weapons were whispers, the battleground a woman's heart, and the ultimate prize, the future of an empire. Consider Hatice, the woman whose bed Murad had shared that fateful night. She moved through the palace with a dangerous grace, a beauty that had once captivated a sultan, now a shield and a target. Her son, young Bayezid, was a living testament to a truth the dynasty wished to bury, a vibrant, laughing challenge to the established order. What would a mother not do for her child's legitimacy, for his very life, when the walls themselves seemed to conspire against him? Her eyes, once pools of innocent light, now held the glint of sharpened steel, reflecting the endless calculating required for survival. Every breath was a silent prayer, every smile a potential mask. Then there was the Valide Sultan, Murad's formidable mother. A true architect of dynasties, her heart was a fortress of tradition, and her will an unyielding force. She saw only the purity of the succession, the sacred line that must remain unbroken. For her, Hatice was a flaw, a dangerous aberration, and Hatice's son a viper in the nest. Her gaze could freeze a man's blood, and her silence was more terrifying than any shout. She knew the game, she had played it, and she had won. Her hands, gnarled with age but still strong, held the threads of power, pulling, tightening. The air grew heavy, almost viscous on the afternoon of the feast. A casual gathering, they called it, in the Sultanah's chambers. The rich aroma of spiced lamb mingled with the sweet scent of jasmine. Courtiers moved like ghosts in their heavy robes, their expressions carefully neutral, their ears straining. Hatice was there, seated opposite the Valide Sultan, her crimson kaftan shimmering like spilled blood under the light. Around her neck, a single, magnificent ruby necklace, the heart of Anatolia, throbbed with a deep internal fire. It was a gift from Murad, a sign of favor, but also a brand, marking her as the woman who dared to challenge. The Valide Sultan's eyes, ancient and sharp, settled on the jewel, then on Hatice's face. No word was spoken, but the message was clear. You wear what you do not deserve. You hold what is not truly yours. Then came the sherbet, iced, fragrant with rosewater and pomegranate, served in delicate crystal cups by silent eunuchs. A small, seemingly insignificant gesture of hospitality. But in these halls, nothing was ever truly insignificant. Hatice's cup was placed before her, the ruby liquid gleaming, promising refreshment. She looked at it, then up, meeting the Valide Sultan's unwavering stare. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched the older woman's lips. It was a smile that promised much and delivered nothing but chilling dread. The chill, Hatice realized, was not from the ice in the cup. It was the chill of unspoken threats, of a dynasty's brutal demand. A cup of sherbet, so simple, so elegant, and yet one sip could rewrite history. One sip could silence a mother's heart, extinguish a son's future. How far does one go, not to win, but simply to survive? In this game of queens, where the stakes were blood and the ultimate prize, the Sultan's ear, there were no heroes, only players forced into desperate acts. The silence in the room stretched, thin and brittle like old parchment. All eyes, concealed or overt, were on Hatice, and on the shimmering, deadly, innocent cup. The child, when it came, was not merely a new life, but a living question etched into the heart of the dynasty. A testament to a night of defiance, yes, but more so a relentless drumbeat against the fragile silence that held the palace together. Born of passion, yes, but cradled in the very cradle of war. This was not just an heir, this was a consequence, breathing. Do you understand the weight of such a birth? To be the shadow of a secret, forever tethered to an indiscretion, a whisper that never truly fades, every gaze, every whispered name, a reminder of the twisted roots from which you sprang. The bloodline, once a river of untroubled power, now coursed with a turbulent current, threatening to breach its banks. Look closer, see the child, now a youth, moving through these very halls, a prince perhaps by title, but forever a pawn. Their destiny was not chosen, it was inherited, a heavy cloak woven from suspicion and ambition. That forgotten toy, a small wooden horse, lies discarded by a marble pillar. a stark testament to a childhood stolen, or perhaps never truly allowed to bloom. The innocent playthings of princes shattered against the unforgiving machinery of succession. The war, you see, was no longer confined to battlefields or whispered plots between rivals. It had seeped into the very stone of the palace, poisoned the wellspring of family. Love became a gilded cage, loyalty a fragile commodity, traded for influence, for survival. The queens. Oh, the queens. Their ambition, once a fierce fire, now burned with a cold, calculated precision, focused on securing the child's claim, or just as often, extinguishing it. I have seen mothers, their eyes holding the desperation of a cornered beast, push their children into the maw of this political game. I have seen brothers, once bound by blood, become instruments of each other's ruin. The shadow of that origin, that single night, stretched across generations, distorting every affection, every alliance. The child born of defiance becomes a magnet for plots, a target for 100 unseen blades. The throne, once a symbol of divine right, now trembled. Its legitimacy, that thinnest thread, was stretched taut, threatening to snap under the relentless pressure. The empire's future hanging by a whisper, by a birth, by a single night of recklessness. And the silence? It was no longer empty. It was filled with the silent screams of those crushed beneath the weight of dynasty, the quiet desperation of those who knew their lives were merely pieces on a grand, unforgiving board. Do you feel it? The chill in the air? It is the ghost of 1,000 betrayals, waiting for the next move.
Они спят теперь, архитекторы той единственной огненной ночи. Их имена, быть может, шепчет лишь ветер сквозь треснувшие дворцовые стены. Но война, которую они породили, она пережила их кости. Разве вы не видите ее, вытравленную в самих камнях этой империи, шрам глубже любого клинка? Запах предательства, когда-то острый, как свежая кровь, давно угас, превратившись в вечный мускус столетий. Но его яд все еще струится по кровной линии, безмолвным течением под великим фасадом. Каждый указ, прошептанный в этих покоях, каждый позолоченный союз, каждая новая крепость, отбрасывающая длинную тень на Босфор – это не просто акты правления, это вечные отголоски той одной ночи. Новая сторожевая башня, возвышающаяся на северной границе, не для нового врага, но для призрака старой раны, вечно нашептывающего предательство изнутри. Сама династия, когда-то река, текущая чисто и сильно, теперь несет ил подозрения. Наследование, священный путь, стало запутанной шелковой нитью, склонной рваться под тяжестью амбиций и леденящей памятью о прошлых зверствах. Поколения превратились в прах, но тишина, что повисает в этих залах, особенно когда упоминаются определенные имена или древние распри, это не мир. Это крик того, что было потеряно, безвозвратно сломано. Присмотритесь к гобеленам, украшающим эти покои. Видите великие битвы, торжествующих султанов, славные завоевания. Но найдите тот, что изображает победу при битву, рожденную из той первоначальной, отчаянной страсти. Проследите ее нити. Там, под роскошным золотым стежком знамени героя, единственный, почти незаметный разрыв. Изъян, искусно заштопанный веками, но вечно присутствующий. Вот он, неприходящий шрам. Доказательство того, что одна ночь безрассудного желания, один миг всепоглощающей страсти не просто разожгли войну. Она перекроила саму душу империи, оставив рану, которую никакое время, никакая власть не смогли бы по-настоящему исцелить. Тишина, столь глубокая, что она рассказывает свои собственные истории. Истории будущих неопределенностей, рожденных из прошлого, которое отказывается умирать.